Greetings, fellow fans. In today's video, I bring you many updates, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Speculation about transactions related to the New York baseball team is growing, with a journalist bringing an intriguing update on the team's current situation. This is a team that clearly needs reinforcements, especially in the pitching position and the presence of right-handed hitters, with several trade targets being highlighted. One of them is quite well known, while another presents an interesting opportunity. Let's analyze these developments. There is much to discuss about the New York team, especially considering that the management will need to make strategic moves, as the team's current performance is unsatisfactory. The need for more pitching assistance is evident, and although Clark Schmidt and Luis Gil may contribute positively, this may not solve all the challenges faced. Both need to deliver their best performances. Gil must establish himself as a true standout, and Max Fried is not the only available alternative. Additionally, Clark Schmidt will need to replicate last season's success, provided he avoids injuries. There is hope that Marcus Stroman can elevate his performance, as he has faced serious struggles. Carlos Carrasco appears to be in a critical state, which highlights the team's urgent need for more pitching support. Given the current circumstances, it will be interesting to see how they plan to address this situation. Several trade negotiations have been suggested for the New York team, and looking at the first piece of information, it was indicated that if the team does not want to give up the necessary talent capital to acquire Sandy Alcantara, they might consider negotiating with Michael King. King has the potential to become one of the standout pitchers, and the team could also evaluate the possibility of renewing Michael King's contract next season. The proposed trade involves the team offering Spencer Jones, Ben Hayes, and Cade Smith in exchange for Michael King and Luis Arraez. This would be a trade centered on Michael King, with Luis Arraez being included in the deal. The team would be giving up a lot, considering Spencer Jones has been performing quite well this season with the Somerset Patriots. Ben Hayes is a high-level prospect, and Cade Smith is also a well-regarded name. Thus, the team would be parting with many talents to acquire a player who was already a key piece in a previous trade, while also receiving Arraez, who has had a tough start to the season. He would mainly be a backup option until his contact game can return to what it once was. However, Michael King has been exceptional this season, with an earned run average of 2.42 in 4 games, a whip of 1.075, and 24 strikeouts in 22 innings. He has been a great addition to his team, which would make him a significant reinforcement. On the other hand, Luis Arraez has faced difficulties this season, with a negative WAR in 66 at-bats, hitting only 17 hits, resulting in a .258 batting average, far below his career average of .321. What stands out about Luis Arraez is his contact ability, as he can make several hits, but he is not an exceptional athlete. His defensive numbers are also not remarkable, making him a player whose main characteristic is contact, allowing him to get on base, but not much beyond that. Therefore, he is not exactly the best asset for a trade, but if he manages to return to a good level, he could offer some help in the leadoff position, which is still undefined considering there has been. What he offers is a contact skill that can help get a player on base, and that's all. Therefore, he is not exactly the most valuable trade asset the team could pursue, but if he can recover, he could play an important role in that leadoff position, which remains somewhat uncertain due to the rotation of players in that role. It hasn't been completely disastrous so far. Thus, making this trade could be interesting for the team. The real question to consider is whether it's worth giving up promising talents. If it is believed that this risk is justifiable, then it might be a good idea. However, giving up important prospects for a player comes with significant risks, as those talents may stand out later. Indeed, the team could explore other options that might not reach the same level of performance seen this season, but could still contribute effectively and stabilize the roster. Considering the potential return of other pitchers who are performing well, the team needs a 4th starting pitcher. There is no need to trade for this specific player, as there are other paths to explore. Additionally, they're still trying to deal with the situation of a player who has been struggling and seems to be facing mental challenges. Although he has accumulated a considerable number of strikeouts, he has also allowed many earned runs, with his earned run average surpassing 5. It has been a tough season for him so far, despite the good strikeout stats. However, these numbers may indicate that he is capable of regaining control in the more decisive moments. If the team opts to trade their best prospects, the loss would be significant, as they would be parting with two of their most promising talents. One of these prospects is currently playing in the minor leagues, while the other is on another team in the same league. The team would be giving up two of their top prospects, one of whom is a great pitching prospect, and the other is a key outfield prospect. Although the outfield situation seems stable at the moment, it will be interesting to see the long-term decisions that will be made regarding the roster. This is not the only trade being considered, as there is also a scenario in which a smart move could result in trading more prospects for another player. The situation is undoubtedly intriguing at the moment, but in the long run, it will be fascinating to see which direction the team decides to take. This is not the only transaction being discussed, as there is another possibility in which a clever maneuver could lead to the trade of talents for a former prospect who currently does not have a clear opportunity for success with his current organization. According to information, there is a chance the team will bet on a low-risk player with high potential return. Although this player does not have a defined path to the major leagues with his current team, he could become a starter with another team. The organization is focusing on other standout prospects while dealing with injury challenges in its roster. The pitching staff often deals with injury problems, which could make the organization less willing to trade this player, but it is clear that they are prioritizing other athletes over him at the moment. Thus, the team could certainly find a way to negotiate a deal for this player that resembles this scenario. Personally, I would be open to trading certain prospects, but the inconsistency in the performance of this player raises some red flags, as he has been quite irregular, especially in his recent outings, which is a big concern. When analyzing his current stats, he has a respectable earned run average in his limited appearances, with a good number of strikeouts, although his minor league stats show a less favorable earned run average, which has made the organization cautious about him. On the other hand, he has a major league track record, but his earned run average is higher in several games and innings pitched. It is also necessary to consider whether the other player has enough value to justify such a decision. Trading certain prospects may be justifiable, but there are still uncertainties about the feasibility of trading others, especially with new young talents emerging. A different formation could bring changes in the circumstances. However, analyzing the current situation, this is undoubtedly a decision that presents risks. Therefore, it is crucial to weigh whether it is really worth making this trade. I have the impression that the trade has its value, but I'm not sure if this alternative is the most suitable, especially since it would involve trading for a young pitcher. That's a point that deserves consideration. In the end, I would evaluate this trade, but I admit I would be a little hesitant, as the player in question has shown inconsistent performance in the upper leagues, especially in decline. This makes the situation more intriguing. Despite this, it would be interesting to see the New York team working hard to acquire a pitcher. I believe acquiring a veteran player could bring benefits. There are some options in the market, and I don't see the need to pursue an extraordinary trade. It's not essential to acquire a specific athlete. There are players who do not justify the investment, as the cost would be excessive. This would require trading one of the team's top talents, and there's no need to go that far. It's not the ideal time to part with a player with potential in exchange for a starting pitcher. It is essential to remember that a fourth pitcher is needed. Right now, a fourth pitcher on the team would be considered in the role of a second starter. Therefore, it is feasible to find this option at a more reasonable cost than the ongoing negotiations. The proposed deal is attractive, but I would prefer they seek a veteran who could contribute until the end of the season and from there decide on the next steps. With the return of one of the pitchers, the team will be able to find its rhythm in the rotation, considering the significant investment in players. It will be interesting to follow the evolution of the situation, but I want to hear your opinion. Would you consider any of these trades? Share your thoughts in the comments. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. In a stunning twist that sent shockwaves through the baseball world, strong rumors are swirling around the New York Yankees clubhouse. Multiple sources close to the organization suggest that manager Aaron Boone privately voiced serious concerns over Cody Bellinger's influence on the team. According to these unconfirmed reports, Boone went as far as to say that Bellinger is contaminating the roster, citing issues with chemistry and commitment. While the Yankees have yet to release an official statement, the alleged remark has sparked a firestorm across social media and sports talk shows, raising questions about the slugger's integration into one of baseball's most scrutinized franchises. Bellinger, once considered one of the brightest young stars in Major League Baseball, arrived in New York with a complicated narrative. After a meteoric rise with the Dodgers that included Rookie of the Year honors, an MVP title, and a World Series ring, injuries and inconsistency derailed his momentum. His brief resurgence with the Chicago Cubs earned him NL Comeback Player of the Year, but even that wasn't enough to convince Chicago to keep him. Traded to the Yankees in December 2024 for pitcher Cody Bellinger, Bellinger was expected to provide left-handed power and veteran presence to a team with postseason ambitions. Instead, he's reportedly become a source of tension behind the scenes. Insiders suggest that Boone's alleged frustrations stem from Bellinger's work ethic and demeanor during spring training and the early weeks of the season. One source, speaking on condition of anonymity, described Bellinger as disengaged, difficult to coach, and frequently isolated from the core leadership group. While Boone has publicly praised the outfielder's talent, the private concerns reportedly aired in internal meetings paint a different picture. This narrative, if true, could explain why Bellinger has been in and out of the starting lineup despite being one of the team's more high-profile offseason acquisitions. The implications of such a rift, if confirmed, are significant. The Yankees are no strangers to clubhouse drama, but internal division can derail even the most talented rosters. Fans and analysts alike are now speculating whether Bellinger's presence could be short-lived in the Bronx, with trade rumors already beginning to surface. The Yankees have invested heavily in their current championship window, and any disruption, especially one involving a former MVP, could force Boone and general manager Brian Cashman to make a tough call sooner rather than later. For now, Bellinger has not addressed the rumors, and Boone has remained tight-lipped when questioned by reporters after Sunday's loss to the Rays. But in a city where the back pages speak louder than box scores, silence can be deafening. Whether this story proves to be smoke or fire, one thing is clear. The Cody Bellinger saga in New York is quickly becoming one of the most compelling and potentially combustible storylines of the 2025 MLB season. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.